support, protect, and defend
the
Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
So help me God.
So help me God. Appreciate it. I think that's something to sign.
Yep.
Perfect.
So, that's JP's. I sign here. You sign it? All right.
You can now sit here if you will.
Okay, I sure will. Thank you.
All right, on to hiring of paraprofessionals.
Okay, we have two paraprofessionals who retired last year, and then we also needed two additional paraprofessionals to help support our special ed students' needs. So I would recommend that we hire the following people who are very well qualified for the position. They're highly qualified: Amina Porter, Leanna Rosales, Amber Templeton, and Angelica Turner.
All right, we need a motion to hire the paraprofessionals as listed.
I motion to hire the paraprofessionals as listed.
All second. All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, hire middle school football coach Burton Schiller.
Okay, we have gone through a lengthy process of trying to locate a middle school football coach. Paul Larson did move up to the high school to help coach there. And so as a result, we have this vacancy in the middle school. We advertised in-house and extensively outside, and kind of right before the season started, thankfully, we were able to locate Burton Schilling, who has applied, and I would like to recommend this hire. This allows us to keep sixth grade involved in the program. Otherwise, we would have so many kids that it would be too large for two coaches. So he is the third middle school football coach. So I would recommend that we hire him. He has football experience and has attended Whitehall schools himself.
This is an elementary hire.
This is, yes, an elementary hire only for the middle school, yes. Elementary motion.
I motion to hire Burton Schilling as the middle school football coach.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, hire kitchen helper Jamie Cox.
Two M's is correct, but it's pronounced Jamie. So we had Donna Castellon retire last year after many years of service, and Jamie is coming on board to fill that vacancy, and we're excited to have her. We have a full kitchen staff, and it's great to start the year fully staffed. That hasn't always been the case every year, as you know, so we're really grateful to have her help. And she has extensive experience in commercial kitchens, so she will be a great asset to our kitchen. So I recommend her hire, please.
All right, you need a motion?
I move to hire Jamie Cox as a kitchen helper.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, approving the substitute list.
Okay, so you have in front of you on the iPad the full list, and just for the purposes of the record, I will read it. We do reapprove the entire list at the start of every year, so these people, many of them have subbed for us in the past. They're not all new. In fact, very few. I think there's two new ones. So we have Stacy Briggs, Corinna Urban, Todd Breitenfeld, Edith Jurgen, Caitlin Muckadam, Kylie Hansen, Raven Hershenko, Megan Johnson, Sandy Mabbitt, David Royce, Kitty Reed, Faye Conway, Laura Engler, Deidre DuBois, Carrie Cunell, Kelmini Pochukanian, Nancy Lean, Kelly Dodd, Bailey Jackson, Francine Janik, and Melissa Valenta. I would ask that you approve that list.
Do we have a motion to approve that list?
I motion to approve substitution teacher list.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, USDA meal cost adjustments.
Okay, let's see. I believe this document's entitled, USDA reimbursement rates. It's on your iPad. So if you kind of take a peek at that. But basically, every single year we receive information from OPI, which adjusts adult meal prices, and then it also gives us the information regarding the reimbursement that we will receive from the USDA for students who are free lunch and reduced lunch and then paid. And you'll see kind of for breakfast and then lunch what we receive. So for example, for a free lunch student, we receive $4.60 for their meal for lunch and $2.46 for their breakfast. For a reduced student, we receive $4.20 for their lunch, and then the remaining 40 cents is billed to the parent as their cost share for that meal. For breakfast, we receive $2.16, and the remaining 30 cents is billed to the parent as their cost share if they are reduced qualified. And then for paid students, most people don't realize that we do receive a small subsidy, but it is 44 cents and 40 cents. So 44 cents for lunch, 40 cents for breakfast, and then the remaining difference is what we assess to parents as the cost of their kids' meal. You will notice that this is up significantly this year from previous years. This is the biggest leap I've seen in the 11 years I've been talking about school nutrition prices here in Whitehall. So this would bring paid students' lunches to $4.16 a piece and breakfast to $2.06. The breakfast jump is not high. It was $2 to $2.06. It's a 6 cents increase. However, the increase for the paid lunch, it's going from $3.75 to $4.16. So it's a bigger jump. Anyhow, that is coming from USDA. Milk will increase to 48 cents because we charge the average cost per half pint of milk, and that is 48 cents is our direct cost, right from Cisco. So I would ask that you approve these prices. We are making an active effort, I should add, to qualify people for reduced lunch benefits. So all of our free students, most of our free students, we are able to directly certify their eligibility through the DCA system, the direct certification system. So any student that is Medicaid eligible or has received SNAP benefits or their household receives those benefits, they should come to us through direct certification. It is not a flawless system. We have to hand touch kids that are coming from other districts because they're from the county and all sorts of things. But most of our kids we get that way who are free lunch eligible. The students where we have to actively solicit their applications, that's really for kids who are income eligible but don't get Medicaid or SNAP, and they may be income eligible for free or reduced lunches. So efforts are underway to identify those kids and get applications filled out.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the USDA meal cost adjustments?
I move to approve the USDA meal price adjustments. Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, on to the claims and accounts. Did everyone get a chance to review the claims and accounts? Okay, do we have an elementary motion to approve the claims and accounts?
I move to approve the elementary claims and accounts.
I second it.
Seconded. All in favor? No?
I did not hear
I heard two.
Oh, aye. Sorry. That was pretty high school.
Okay. All right, motion passes. That would be the high school motion to approve the claims and accounts.
To approve the high school claims and accounts.
I'll second it.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we need a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned. On to our special board meeting.
Let me go ahead.
All right, I call the special board meeting to order. we do the,
Nope, we just move right into new business.
all right, that makes it easier. Okay, new business, review Whitehall School Board or School District Trustee Financial Statement for 2024, 2025.
Okay, so you should have in front of you the document labeled TFSEL 24-25, which is Trustees Financial Summary 24-25. So we'll go through the elementary first. Alyssa, feel free to jump in whenever.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, big thank you to Alyssa. She worked really hard on preparing this. This is part of her annual duties is preparing the trustees' financial summary. This is the look back at how we spent our money for the previous year. This is also the document that we use when we get audited in March. When they do the audit of our previous year's finances, they will reconcile our books, which are Black Mountain levels. That's our line-by-line budget item accounting, with our trustees' financial summary, which is what we report in Mayfair system to the state, and we certify as accurate. So the auditor goes through both our Black Mountain system, which is our accounting system, which records every transaction we have done ever, and reconciles it with this to ensure that we are spot on. And as you know, last year we received a spotless audit, and that is credit to Alyssa and Jason Silvani, who do a great job in that role. So moving on, you'll see that the bulk of the first couple pages are just informational, and then the bulk of it begins on page 3 of 38, which is where we start getting into the balance sheets of every single fund. And so the funds are listed in the top column sections: general fund, transportation fund, bus depreciation reserve fund, school food services fund, tuition fund, retirement fund, miscellaneous programs fund, adult ed fund, and compensated absence fund, as well as the metal mines reserve fund. Those are the funds that we have in the elementary. You'll notice there are funds that are blank, such as traffic education. That is a high school only fund. So if it's blank, it means it does not apply. We do not have a non-operating fund. Those are for school districts that are not operational, for example. So if it's blank, it doesn't mean that we're missing information. It means that the fund does not apply. Then you see in the rows, the assets and other debits, the deferred outflows, the liabilities, inflows, and the fund balance and equity. So really, at the bottom, you can see kind of how basically the revenue came in and out of each fund, and then what the balance was remaining upon completion of the year. And then each of the funds, so that's the overview pages, each of the funds has their own special page, which goes into much larger detail, and that starts on page 15. And you got these documents in advance, so hopefully you had a chance to review them, except for Amy obviously did not receive this in advance. But you can see where it does break down by object code. So those are the codes that you'll see, the 1XX. It breaks down by object code what we are spending the money on, as well as program and function code. So you can see basically a more detailed analysis of where the money goes for the district. This is also matched up with the claims and accounts that you approve every month. So you're approving these things that end up being expenditures for our district. So I will entertain any questions you have about any of the funds or any of the information in this report. It is obviously lengthy, 38 pages. So that's the reason you received it ahead of time.
It's very exciting.
It is. But here's your chance to ask the questions if you have any. Anyone?
Do you have any questions?
I just, for Alyssa, was there anything that stood out when you were preparing this?
TFS?
Yeah, like anything that stood out as a red flag or anything that you were like, this should be brought to someone's attention, anything like that?
No. With governmental accounting, occasionally it's called a project reporter code. It's just the 6 number when I'm coding money from certain places. Sometimes those can get a little wonky, like I have to change them every year. So for example, the 21st century PRC is 434. Well, this year it's 436. So I did use 434 for 2 years, but those are just like clerical errors. But money-wise, no,
It was all good.
Yeah, I looked.
Because you probably dove into this deeper than any of us will even look it over, so it just, for sure. Just as far as,
Part of it, I understand this.
yeah, because there's a lot to go through.
Yeah, there is. But no, we came in under budget, like we usually do, so we were able to move quite a bit to the multi-district to help pay for projects. So yeah, no, it was a good year. And essentially this TFS, it's like being audited twice.
Yeah,
And or even audited by a London company. So this is just basically plugging in all those same numbers.
and just showing what it was.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the backward glance.
It's riveting.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the elementary, financial statement from 24-25?
I move to approve the statement.
Second that.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, on to the high school claims high school
TFS.
CFS, thank you.
All right, so the TFS in the high school obviously has different numbers, there's different sub-funds. There are additional project report codes which are listed on page 2, which are for the various scholarships and some of the grants that we've received that you will notice are different from what you saw in the elementary one. We also have some additional funds under the high school, for example, adult education fund, the traffic education fund, our lease rental fund is reported there as well. And so those are funds that we don't have in the elementary, so you'll notice that there are columns for those listed. Again, it follows the exact same formatting where it goes through the funds kind of just in that very generic fashion at the start. And then when you hit page 15 of 44 for this one, it gets into the more detailed accounting for each of the funds. So the general fund starts on page 15. It goes through all of our revenue sources, so you can see exactly what we received for 2024 and 2025, and then all of our expenditures grouped by program function and object code for each one of those categories. Again, matching our audit and also our claims. And then it goes through each of the funds individually, so you'll see bus depreciation, tuition, retirement, and so on. So are there any questions about any of these funds, revenue or expenditures?
I'm just curious about the penalties and the interest on taxes. Is that just a,
Oh, that refers mostly interest. I know it says penalties and interest.
As long as it's not negative,
okay,
yeah.
I know, when I first saw it too, I'm like, what would we be penalized for? But it's referring to interest. I've never seen a negative in that.
okay, so as long as that's in the positive.
Yeah,
Okay.
so sometimes we'll get interest on taxes, like if someone, the reason it's like a really small amount is because they'll hold someone's taxes who are protesting their taxes, so they actually like put them in an escrow account, they accrue interest. And then once that process is resolved and the tax funds are released, we'll get like a tiny amount of interest. So you can see the interest
Like
was
that
like,
interest is divided up and just.
yeah, the interest was
specific.
$83.
Yeah,
So it just means like it sat in that account at the county waiting to be distributed, and then we receive interest for it while it's sitting there until it's released to us.
okay.
Yeah, good question though.
What was the mobile home
Yep.
that we fixed on last year, but not this year?
So that was when we built the, Christie's Kitty Corner building.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's considered a mobile
Mhm.
home.
Yep.
Okay.
well, mobile building.
Building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And occasionally on the
Come
side.
home.
That's a good tip over, didn't it?
Mhm. Yes, I think we're, yes.
All right, does anybody else have questions? We need a motion to approve the TFS for high school.
I'll motion to approve TFS for high school.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, on to the second item, review and discuss Whitehall School District budgets for 25-26.
Okay, so we will look at the elementary one first. And there's some significant changes this year, obviously due to legislation that we've discussed previously, but also our taxable valuations. So in the time I've been superintendent in this district, every single year our taxable valuation has increased until this year, and it dropped significantly. And this is going to affect our mills, and I'll get into an explanation of that in a minute. But last year, the taxable valuation for Whitehall Elementary, the entire district, was $10,063,078 for the whole district. This year, it's down to $8,847,626. So the value of all of the properties in our district has been assessed at a lower level than before. So the taxable levels have dropped. This will affect our millage rates because we make up for the revenue by milling more mills. That's how it works. So the revenue stays the same. Like if we need $100,000, we're still getting $100,000 from the taxpayers. However, if the taxable value decreases of the entire district, that means we mill more mills to get the same amount of money. It doesn't mean we're getting more money. Like we haven't run a local mill levy in years. Our mill levy amount for the elementary district, for example, we mill local taxpayers $128,829 a year. It has been that way for all 11 years I've been here. It has not changed once. We've been milling that amount for well over 11 years. I don't even know how long. The high school, for example, we mill $141,807.49. Again, that has not changed over the decade I've been here. So that has stayed the same. However, as the taxable value fluctuates, usually when the taxable value increases, we are decreasing the amount of mills. The amount of mills we're milling is less to get to that revenue amount. Because unfortunately, both districts went down in taxable valuation. For example, the high school went from $16,041,451 to $13,388,259. So not quite as much down as the elementary, but enough to where it's going to affect our mills. Interestingly, the biggest changes were in Jefferson County, the Madison County, and Silver Bow County. Those were within like $1,000 of the previous year. So those values did not change much in those two counties because we encompass all three counties in our area. So moving on to the mills, which is the second page of the document, the impact that the reduced property value and the reduced taxable valuation has is that in order to obtain our revenue and capture our revenue, we have to mill additional mills to get to that revenue place. So you'll notice for the general fund, we are additionally milling 2.66 mills. That's up from last year, 2.66 mills. We're slightly down in the bus depreciation reserve. The reason why is our buses are depreciating out, so that should always kind of be a downward trajectory on our depreciation, right? Unless we buy a new bus, then it goes up. And then tuition is up 5.93, technology is up 0.27, building reserve 0.40, and then grand total mills, including transportation, we are up 23 mills in the elementary. As far as other information in general, as what impact STARS Act has had on our revenue, we are up $90,489.10 in our elementary budget. $99,000 was contributed by STARS. It was an increase of STARS. You might wonder, like, where's the other $9,000? The other $9,000 went to the high school because our high school enrollment has gone up it's gone up 13 kids, and our elementary enrollment is down 5. So we had a big class pass on to the high school from the 8th grade, and so that money followed them to the high school. So overall, we are in good financial position as far as, our budgeting for this year. So the general fund worksheet starts on page 4. This is very similar to the TFS. However, this is a plan for how we receive our revenue and then where it is earmarked to spend. So this is not line item detail. This is not what we do. This is not like our accounting system, how it gets down to like line items. This is just a general look at the revenue for each fund. So please feel free to ask any and all questions about the revenue or the budget. Alyssa would be happy to answer. No, I'm just kidding. Alyssa and I.
So why do you think the taxable revenue went down that much?
I think there was a big surge of people asking, like, protesting, not protesting.
Yeah, no,
Is it
protesting their property.
Protesting their assessed values.
Or their assessed value.
I don't think it's a true protest process because people aren't withholding their taxes, but they basically, went through the process of saying, we do not believe we were assessed at the correct rate. Because there was that big jump 2 years ago in the assessed values, and people actually, I think, filled out the paperwork to have that reanalyzed.
Maybe I should have. I just accepted it.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. Did it work?
Yeah, it went down.
Yeah,
My taxes went down this year.
yeah,
Yeah. So it worked. Yeah.
yeah,
But I'm in Madison County, so
yeah.
it's wrong off.
Yes, right, ad nauseam, yes. We do know where you live, Laura, which district you're in. Talked about it for a year. Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not on the front burner anymore.
No, seriously. Yeah, I that's my hunch. It was interesting because we received information from MASBO, which is the organization for the school business officials. Alyssa got an email from them, and they basically said that really no district had stayed, their taxable valuation had stayed very steady, that quite a few districts had seen the decrease, and then there was districts that had seen a significant increase as well. So it kind of went both directions. Really, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, how does it affect people's personal taxes? And I did some kind of deeper dive into that. I'll just hit that right now. So even though our taxable valuation has gone down, if all properties equally went down, which isn't likely, but let's just use it as a hypothetical, then everyone's share of the tax would remain the same. So if there's 10 people, they each pay $10,000 and we need $100,000 and everyone's property simultaneously decreased by the same amount, they'd all still be paying $10,000 a piece. However, there's no way that that actually occurred. So if values change unevenly and your property, your personal property decreases less than the district average, whatever the district average is, your share of the tax burden goes up. However, if your property's taxable value decreases more than the district average, your tax bill would go down. So it really depends upon how people's individual properties stack up in relation to the district average, what their share of that burden is. So in other words, I can't really predict how this will impact individuals, other than everyone should have received in the last month like another reassessment report. I don't know if everyone got that, I did. And mine went up like a bunch again in this round.
So the mills that we have to increase by, are we within the amount to do it without another levy?
Yeah, so these are all permissive levies.
Yeah.
So basically, we adjust them at this meeting.
Right.
And again, we're not changing the revenue. So we are still getting, for the elementary district, we are still levying the taxpayers $128,829. However, this is for our general fund. However, in order to get there, instead of milling, so last year we were milling approximately 35 mills to make that same amount, and now we are having to mill 38.42 mills. So we're having to adjust our mills to match our revenue amounts. We also haven't changed like our technology levy, for instance. That has not changed in several decades. Though Colton would like like to change it, but unfortunately, that's a taxpayer decision. But we're increasing that by 0.27 mils, though we are still milling 19,900. That amount hasn't changed. So it's just that taxable valuation fluctuating our mills, if that makes sense.
Yes, no, it makes sense.
Okay, any other questions about the elementary before I move, or before we move on to the high school, or before we move on to the high school?
Let's vote first and then go to the high school. Do we have a motion to approve the elementary budget for 25-26?
I move to approve the elementary budget for 25-26.
I'll second it.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, on to the high school.
Okay, and there is almost a $3 million difference in our high school taxable valuation this year for our high school district. So again, pretty much all 3 million of it, 2.5 million of it is, or actually the bulk of it, aside from about 20,000, is from Jefferson County. So again, pretty specific and localized to our area where that really changed. As a result, again, our mills are having to increase to obtain the revenue. So for the high school, we, for example, have a local levy of $141,807 for our general fund, yet we are increasing the mills by 3.14 to make that revenue, even though that revenue amount is not changing. And then as we go down, every single fund goes up slightly. Transportation went up 15.73 because last year we actually milled 0 because we had excess revenue the previous year. We were able to roll over, you may remember, so we were able to do that last year. Now we're returning to normal levy levels. Bus depreciation is up slightly, 0.57. Tuition, that has to do probably with our van purchase. Tuition, adding 6.06 mils, technology 0.25, building reserve 0.3, and the total mill difference is 26 in the high school. So very close to the same increase between the high school and the elementary districts as far as mills.
And you're just reporting the difference from last year, right?
Are there any other questions? High school budget? All right, we need a motion to approve the high school budget for 25-26.
I move to approve the high school budget for 26.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
You need to get out.
You don't want to give me a gavel.